All right, my friends. So today we are going to be moving on from proportion. Well, maybe not moving on, but we're going to be comparing proportion and how that relates to the slope of a line. This one, it's not super complicated, but it can get confusing if you're not paying attention. A couple of important things just to keep your eye on is this formula right here, because that's going to be the gold mine to get you to find the slope. And the other thing to remember is that we are relating it back to proportion. So, keep that in mind as we go through our lesson. The slope of a line, when you find it, will always be or should always be a fraction. We'll talk about the exceptions a little bit later on. We don't need to worry about that right now. But when you are finding the slope of a line, if you do not get a fraction as an answer, then it's indicating that something else is going on there. So to just basically put it in the most, basic terms, the slope of a line tells you, they say rise over run is what you're going to hear, but it just means how steep the line is, how far it goes up, and how far it goes to the left or to the right. So we're basically just saying it's either going up or it's going down by how many, and then it's going left or it's going right by how many. And that's what your slope is. So the steepness of a line, that's your slope. And if I were you, I would just write that somewhere up here. Steepness. So the steepness of a line, that's your slope, okay? So let's go ahead and start filling in this interactive journal. So slope is always indicated with an M, and that's very important to remember because you're not going to see that word slope. You're going to see the letter M, and your brain has to connect those two. So whenever you see the letter M in an equation, they're asking you for the slope, okay? And like I said, it's the change in Y to the change in X between any 2 points on the line. If you graph your line correctly, no matter what 2 points on the line you plug into this formula, the slope should always be the same. The slope of a line should not change regardless of the values that you plug into this formula, as long as you're using the points on the line, okay? So, like I said, they like to use the term rise, which is just the up or down of the line, over run, and that's the right or the left. So the rise theoretically would be what's happening on that y-axis, because remember, our y's go up and down. And the run is what's going on the x-axis, how many points right or how many points left your line is moving. So you have your change in y, and your change in x. Okay, and again, the magic formula, the gold formula that you need to remember is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you find any 2 points on the line, you plug them into that magic formula, and you are going to be able to find the slope. And that's what I'm going to show you now in the box. So pause this if you need to, fill in those lines, and then press play, and we're going to move on. So in this example, they gave us the points that we're going to be using. They already found them for us. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Make it a little bit smaller. We'll do that. Okay, perfect. So the first point that they gave us is 0, 2, because if you look, it is 0 on the x-axis and 1, 2 up on the y. All right, so you're going to fill that in and do the math. The other point they gave us is 3, 3. It's 3 to the right on the x and 3 up on the y. So 3, 3 and 0, 2 are the points that we're going to use. So all you need is two, any two that you want. You're going to label them as X1, Y1, and X2, Y2. And you see they did that for us. We have 0.1 and we have 0.2 here, okay? Then you're going to do Y2 minus Y1, and you're going to do X2 minus X1. All right. And then they love to use that word ratio. And you keep that slope as a fraction. My goodness, my pen does not want to work today. Hang on, I can do that better. Don't judge, don't judge. Yes, that's much better. Okay, so 2 points, subtract y2 from y1. That's going to be your numerator. You're going to subtract x2 from x1. That's going to be your denominator. And whatever you were left with is your slope. And then if you look, I'm going to move it a little bit and it's going to mess up all my writing, but shh. If you look here, they did it for you. Let me change my pen color. So they said y2, oops. Got this, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry, I got this. So y2 minus y1, they took this 2 and they subtracted 3, 1. Then they did x2 minus x1. That was 0 minus 3. I got 3. Both of these would be negatives, but because they're both negatives, positive. So the slope of this line is 1, 3. So it means no matter what you do, you're going up 1 and over 3. Up 1, over 3. And that's your line. Right there. Okay, sounds way more confusing than it is, I promise. All right, let's move on. Let's practice. So we're going to put what we learned to use. That's a little too big. I get a little excited sometimes. All right, so let's find, we're finding the slope of this line. We're going to find any 2 points that we want to. I like to use the pretty points. So we're going to use, let's use 2, 2, 2, 2, and let's use 4, 4. Use that one. Okay, so x1, y1, x2, y2, and now let's plug them into our formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's go ahead and plug it in. That would be 4 minus 2 over 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Reduce, give you 1 over 1. So if you look, what that tells us is our line goes to the right one and up one, right one, up one, right one, up one. And how can we check that? Well, let's see. Goes to the right one and up one, right one, up one, right one, up one, right one, up one, right one, up one, boom. Every time that we move to the right one and up one, we hit a spot on this line. So we know that we are correct. Okay. This one here, if you see that it's going, ooh, lots of pretty colors. Ha, so exciting. If you see how it's going from the bottom left to the top right, that is a positive slope. If you look to over here, you kind of like spoiler alert, it's going from the bottom right to the top left. That is a, that's not a negative. Hold on. That would be a negative slope. Pew, pew. That's a negative line. This one's positive. All right, let's try another one. Pew, 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 pew. Clear. Haha. There we go. So we're looking at a negative line now, and you can tell because it goes from the bottom right to the top left. So again, let's find 2 points that we want to pick. Let's do -3, +3. And let's do this one. Why not, right? We'll do +2, -2. Let's go ahead and label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and let's see what we got here. So we're doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Oh, stop that. And plug it in. So y2, we have -2 minus 3. And then we have x2 is a +2 minus a -3. Let's see what we got here. So we have a -2 minus 3. That's going to give you -5. And then we have a +2 minus a -3. So remember, minus a negative is the same as 2 plus 3. That's going to give you a +5. If you were to reduce that, it would give you -1 over 1. So we know it's a negative line. And once again, we're going up 1 over 1, but this time we're going to the left. So let's see if we're right. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over, up over, up over, and whoop, we hit every point on our line if we kept going. So that's it. It's a simple plug and play for slope. I do want you guys to practice, but as long as you can memorize this formula right here, pick any 2 points on the line, plug it in, and you are good to go. All right? Have fun, be free. If you need me, you know where to find me.